guys, midweek energy update. We got a lot to talk about. There is a lot going on out there right now, and I do want to say up front, this is a very confrontational, conflict-ridden, triggering energy that we have coming in, specifically Thursday this week, but also moving us through the weekend. And remember, we opened our week on Monday with a very tense and intense and powerful and confrontational full moon in Aquarius that featured two exact squares between some real big and powerful planets. We're also in a 7-day period right now where Saturn and Jupiter are in an exact square. This is only something that happens once every 5 years or so. So this is a very significant energy. And as we move through the week this week, we have yet another exact square coming into play. Venus and Mars relationship dynamics, while the moon transits the sign of Aries, Mars, and opposes the south node and the black moon together in the sign of Libra, Venus. We are primed for some necessary changes in relationship dynamics that are required in order to unblock passageways to personal growth right now, you guys. It could be a bit of a messy week, gonna say that. And yeah, we just got a lot. There's a lot going on out there, and we got a lot we need to get into. So that being said, let's just go ahead and get into it. Talk about everything that we have presenting as we move through the rest of the week and through our weekend and towards next week. Welcome back to my channel, you guys. Today is Thursday, August 22nd, 2024. My name is Aubrey. This is your astrological outlook of the day, where we are narrating the shift of the ages. And if you guys stick with me till the end of this report, I have done a collective tarot reading for us today as well. I like to tap the energy field for more than one modality whenever I'm doing these energy overviews, just to get an alternative energetic perspective on what's going on out there. So there could be some messages in there for you as well. We're going to do that at the end. We are going to start at the beginning with the astrology. We are in a very, very, very busy energetic season right now, and the busyness is comprised of a lot of squares. Okay, so there are likely to be just a lot of inherent conflicts going on in terms of various parts of our lives. These squares are going to be coming from different houses and having to do perhaps with like different elements of the ongoings of your experiences right now. And it could just be a kind of intense, overwhelming time out there. We do want to slow down. We do want to try not to be hyper reactive. A lot of people are going to be, and we also, I feel like it is going to benefit us as we move through this period of time to move through this period of time with the sort of like mental frame that actually there's a collective adjustment and realignment going on right now. And there's a real give and take that's being indicated. Like, there are a lot of things, especially with Saturn retrograding right now in the sign of Pisces. It's almost like a lot of things sort of need to be like maybe sacrificed, or there's like an element of like sacrifice or like a painful, difficult like loss or something, or like having to let something go that we've maybe held on to for a really long period of time, or that has like defined a certain like period of time in our lives or dimension of like who we perceive ourselves to be, defined us in some way. But for whatever reason, you know, at this period of time, there's just a need to like have to let something go, or else it's like the whole direction that we know that we need to move into is just going to remain blocked, and we're gonna like just constantly be in this state of turmoil and turbulence, not able to move on from the past, but also not able to let go of the past, but also not able to move forward into the future. And the masculine and the feminine principles, okay? Masculine energy being the active force, the force of, you know, movement and initiation, and feminine energy being the receptive force where we surrender and receive. Both of these energies, in the midst of all these other conflicting forces that we have going on right now, also coming to a head, also demonstrating, like I said, some type of necessary give and take, like surrender in order to move forward. And I do think there could be like fears of loss that could be coming up right now, especially maybe in terms of relationships or financial situations or things to do with like partnerships. And I don't know, stuff like that. But a lot of people are probably going to be very triggered by it, acting out. And if people have a dark side, you guys, this is probably going to be the week where you really see it, especially in the energy of Thursday. There's no hiding the shadow, okay, as we move through this. And that's going to be what causes, in a lot of cases, a lot of these conflicts and these like point of no return energy, like the give and take energy. Like, okay, I know what I'm dealing with now, and I cannot keep turning a blind eye, or like I cannot keep moving in this direction because I like truly realize that it won't lead to where I know that I need to go, like that type of thing. Okay, so just wanted to start off by saying that. I also want to say, before we get more into this energy, there's only, obviously, there's going to be 2 videos out this week. Last week, I filmed these videos, you guys, like generally between like 5 and 10 days before they actually come out. And the full moon video was actually the last video that I filmed, right? Because it was my last video that came out, and I filmed that on August 10th. Right after I filmed that video, August 10th through the 15th, things definitely like hit the fan for me, and I was just like totally thrown into a whirlwind of crisis and chaos for a good 5 days that took me another 2 days to recover from. And of course it all peaked on Thursday the 15th, which was my next scheduled recording day. So didn't get it done. And since I only had one more video that I could do this week, I felt like Thursday was the best day to come in on, because Thursday we do have a lot going on. We've got a lot of exact lineups happening, even though generally this entire week is really, you know, once in sort of 5 years in terms of the Jupiter-Saturn energy that's going on. That's a 20-year conjunction. Every 5 years around approximately there is a harsh aspect, and we're in the first square right now. So this is, on one hand, it's a time of breakdowns and breakthroughs. It's a time of huge interference and struggle and difficulty, but also very important lessons. And also, again, like all over the place, we are in a time of karmic release, and Thursday this week is accentuating that generalized energy right now because of one of the activated features that is happening that week, or that day. So let's just talk about the energy on Thursday then, and know that we are in this 2-week full moon period that is you know, if you guys watched my last video, you know the nature of the energy that we're in generally as a result of those 2 exact perfect squares. Like, we are in just a time right now of generalized contention and pressure building and things that are coming to a head that are requiring some type of breakthrough. And again, like, I feel like especially this week, themes of the give and take might really be coming through strong here. What we need to release in order to be able to move forward, even if it's painful, even if it's difficult, even if it requires a level of duty and responsibility and maturity. There's something about maturity, growing up, making the right decision, even if it's the hard decision, especially in matters of the heart, especially in terms of what we're doing with our money, especially in terms of value systems, especially like commitments generally. Also, even the way that we're presenting ourselves, our reputation, a lot of big time changes, like the people that we are associating ourselves with, a lot of big time changes going on. And this could even trickle down to like our preferences for things, like in art and in music and in beauty, like across the board. Major changes on the forefront having to do with everything Venus and Venus oriented, but Venus primarily is going to represent love and money. This could also though have to do with like legal situations as well, things to do with justice, things to do with fairness, things to do with balance, things to do with peace. There could definitely be, oh my gosh, lack of peace. Like, that's another thing, like upsetting the status quo, upsetting the comfort zone, upsetting the like yeah, like upsetting the peace, right? But we know that because a full moon in Aquarius on the Aquarius Leo axis, an exact square to Uranus in the sign of Taurus. Uranus in the sign of Taurus is a fundamental energy all about upsetting the status quo, upsetting the comfort zone, like disheveling the peace. And then when we bring in the elements that we've got going on this week to like add on to that as like an adjunct to what we already have playing out in that regard, I do feel like it's taking it over the top. Now, again, let me get back to telling you guys exactly what we do have happening in the energy of Thursday. This is the 22nd. Number one, we have the sun entering the sign of Virgo, so we've got a bit of an energetic shift going on right now. Venus is also in the sign of Virgo. Secondly, of course, we have an exact square coming into an alignment with Venus in the sign of Virgo and Mars in the sign of Gemini. This will be a 3-day exact transit. It begins on the 22nd. It comes exact to the minute on the 23rd. On the 24th, later in the day, Venus will move off the degree and break the exact square. Okay, so the 22nd through the 24th, that's what I'm saying. Like Thursday is when this energy really hits and it's its strongest, but it is like carrying us on a wave through the weekend. So actually it kind of worked out okay in terms of the timing, because I do feel like the nature of what we're dealing with on Thursday is going to probably just be the general tone of things as we do move through the weekend and towards Monday, which will be our new video that comes out. Also, though, what is bringing the Venus-Mars square actually up to another level is the fact that the moon is also transiting the sign of Aries when Venus and Mars come to their exact square on Thursday. Of course, Aries, you guys, is ruled by what planet? Aries is ruled by Mars. So the moon's presence in the sign of Aries is enhancing whatever's going on with the Mars energy, which obviously is in the square to Venus. Now, Aries and Libra, okay? The Aries polarity in terms of the signs is the sign of Libra. Mars is the masculine, Venus is the feminine. Mars is the self, Venus is relationships. So the moon's presence in the sign of Aries is activating the polarity of Aries and Libra, which is activating the masculine feminine, which is activating the Mars Venus, who are in the exact square. Now, what makes this even more like emphasized and takes it up to the higher level is the fact that the moon just happens to be transiting the exact degree range on the 22nd, on Thursday, of the sign of Aries, while Venus and Mars come into their exact square, that are housing right now the north node and the south node of the moon. The north node is a destiny point. The south node is associated with karma and karmic release, the past and the future. So the moon in the sign of Aries will come into a conjunction with the north node, also known as the head of the dragon. This is energy that is like really firing us up and inspiring us to move forward with something, especially when we've got it happening in the sign of Aries, and therefore the moon is also making an opposition to the south node in the sign of Libra, which is all about karmic endings and karmic release in what? In relationships, in financial dynamics, in the attachments to like people and connections from the past that have been what? You know, Uranus in the sign of Taurus. What is that energy doing for us right now? It is doing whatever is necessary to remove blockages to growth, especially when it comes to things along the Venetian lines of things, when we're talking about Uranus in the sign of Taurus and also South Node karmic endings in the sign of Libra. The ways that we have been conditioned to define ourselves in the context of other people and like group expectations and like societal norms and stuff like that, that may have detached us from like our own true purpose. This is the, you know, the breakdown right now. Like these are the situations that are going to begin to crumble apart and to become intolerable and to need to be released, or that are just like suddenly in like weird ways removed from our lives. Okay, so the moon is activating the north node and the south node, the trajectory forward and what needs to be released to get there. The north node in the sign of Aries, this is about like rediscovering our own personal power and our motivation to redefine ourselves in alignment with a more authentic truth or a higher version of ourselves that is really awakening within us now, essentially. In order to do that, we have to maybe let go of the people, the places, the situations, the images, the ideas, the value systems, the material comforts, the material world, even perhaps, that have defined us up until this point in time. It's the give and it's the take. And then, you know, of course, with the square going on between Venus and Mars, that is bringing up this very same issue. And it doesn't stop there. We're not stopping there. I've talked about how triggered people are likely to be this week. That is because, you guys, where is the black moon right now? The black moon, which rules our shadow side, okay, our fears, our worries, our insecurities, our doubts, our subconscious programming that has developed within us as a result of unhealed trauma that we've gone through and never had the opportunity to truly process or recognize within us, that we've just suppressed, and as a result has become sort of like an unconscious, like, operating code that has a lot to do with the way that we react and respond to situations, what we're attracted to, what we get ourselves involved with. And, you know, the point of the black moon energy when it's activated is to actually help us gain a greater sense of awareness of what those unconscious, subconscious shadow side issues are and the impact that they're having, and maybe, you know, blocking us from our ability to consciously create what it is that we truly really want to experience, what we feel like is really in alignment with us, because we've got all these like unhealed wounds that trigger us, that cause us to do things a certain way and keep us like enmeshed in these karmic patterns until we're able to essentially get pushed to the point far enough where we can gain the awareness and then go through the process of healing, release, and integration, leading us to a greater state of wholeness where those triggers no longer have control over our emotions and our actions and, you know, the choices and decisions that we're making, which on a greater level is what this energy is trying to provoke in order to heal. However, you know, the provoking part of it is likely to be just a lot more prominent, because obviously it's a lot more difficult for people to heal from things and to gain an awareness of things than it is for people to just respond and react to emotional urges and sensations that are coming from within them. So again, when we have strong black moon energy, people get triggered. And right now, as we move through this week, specifically on Thursday, we have strong black moon energy. Why is that? That is because the black moon, you guys, works in polarities. Whenever we have the moon in the sign with the black moon or the sign opposing the black moon, the moon is our emotions. The moon is like a trigger and an activator for energy anyways. Whenever a transit or an activation is conjoined or squared or, you know, opposed by the moon, it's always going to amplify the energy of whatever transit that is. The same can be said for the black moon, but it works by conjunction or opposition. So whenever we've got the black moon transiting the sign of the black moon or the sign opposing the black moon, and mind you, the black moon changes signs every 9 months. So every 9 months, we get a new opportunity to deal with some of our shadow side issues in whatever, you know, the context of whatever sign those shadow side issues are manifesting in, and how that correlates to like our own lives and inner world and experience and stuff like that. Okay. So right now, with the black moon in the sign of Libra, right, the moon transiting the sign of Aries over this 9-month period that we are in right now is going to activate the black moon. Now, what is particularly tricky about the black moon right now being in the same sign as the south node is that they are almost in a near exact conjunction. They are only like 1 degree apart right now. The south node is at 7 degrees of Aries and the black moon is at 6 degrees of Aries. And as we prepare to move towards our new moon in Virgo, that is going to be coming up in less than 2 weeks now, they are going to be in an exact conjunction. This indicates a major period of being re-immersed in that which we haven't been able to process or clear or clean within ourselves. This is the shadows coming to the surface in a way that is that you can't hide anymore. That's why I was saying earlier, like, if people have a dark side, we're going to see it over this next couple of weeks. If people are struggling with their shadow, we're going to see it. If people have demons, they are coming out. Okay? And so as we move through this period of time, we need to keep that in mind and sort of proceed accordingly. And we also need to realize this is going to be going on within us as well. And the things that do come up right now, there's also, it's so crazy. The way that all of this is like playing out this week, it's really all connected, because think about this aspect of things as well. There's a very strong, actually, exact Chiron influence that is accompanying and playing out with all of this on Thursday. Mercury retrograde, you guys, in the sign of Leo, ruling the positions of both Venus and Mars in their square, and also the position of Jupiter, and also the position of the Sun. The Sun and Mercury are actually in a mutual reception as of today also, because the Sun just entered the sign of Virgo, ruled by Mercury, and Mercury is retrograding through Leo, ruled by the Sun. Oh my gosh, information. There is something, insight, information, figuring something out. This energy, it could be bringing closure. There could be like old feuds, unresolved issues, especially could have to do with like interpersonal dynamics, old friends, maybe even like siblings or family dynamics. Like there could be just old unresolved issues that are somehow coming up right now in a way that is like shedding light, bringing clarity, like people saying things that have been like long repressed or long withheld, but like through communicating those things does something to like gain closure or clear things up somehow. Like there is that vibe very much going on out there. But also like Mercury retrograde in the sign of Leo is an exact trine to Chiron retrograde in the sign of Aries, ruled by Mars. Chiron, that's the master healer, teacher, wounded healer, master archetype energy, okay? It's the wounded healer, teacher, master energy is how I meant for those words to come out. It has everything to do with our ability to transmute states of victimhood and, you know, our base like instinctual nature into our higher selves and into wisdom through experience that allows us to release ourselves from what? Those same karmic cycles that keep coming up. Saturn has to do with karma. The South Node has to do with karma. Chiron has to do with karma. They're all featuring exactly over this next 2-week period that was represented by a full moon in the sign of Leo, or in the sign of Aquarius, as we are moving into the age of Aquarius, with Pluto retrograde currently at 0 Aquarius, and an exact square to Uranus, who rules the sign of Aquarius. Like these are breakthroughs into what will become like our future selves, but it's just like, this is where it gets kind of messy. Okay. And things like, I feel like I've said that a couple times so far, like it just feels kind of messy. Like things are likely to be messy and chaotic, as I said, and, you know, overwhelming. There could be some real painful like conversations or difficult conversations or dialogues or something coming up, you know, with the Chiron influence that we have going on here as well. But there's something like this is leading to, or this is actually facilitating some type of karmic release, some type of healing of old wounds on some level, some type of re-identification with the authentic self, and shedding our old skin or breaking ourselves free in a way that allows us to actually grow into that. This is like having to go back to basics and like rediscovering like what we were always meant to become before we got like beaten down and broken by the world, okay? So this is a call to rediscover like an aspect of our own light, or of our own purpose, or of our own talent, or of our own potential on some level. Okay. And things from the past, again, could definitely be playing into this somehow. Dark, suppressed, hidden issues, secrets coming up, gaining some type of new relevance somehow, or just generally triggering things. People are likely to be very mad with it. The Aries moon going on. A lot of times that can just trigger like a really short fuse, and people can just be kind of confrontational and, not running from a fight when we have an Aries moon. And with that North Node there, that is also a very like, the North Node is known as the head of the dragon. It's like this ravenous urge or impulse to like, in sign of Aries, like act or do something or make something happen. There's like no holding back, like no breaks. Like, I've got a mission and I'm moving towards it, or I've got a passion and I'm going to act on it. So there's a very strong, impulsive, motivated nature to whatever's going on when we've got an Aries moon, especially when it's in a conjunction to the North Node. And it's also this internalized anger, this like emotional anger that could really be like driving that somehow. And then with the square to Venus, this could be relationship dynamics. We're also under the influence of the extreme tension of the Jupiter-Saturn square. We do, to an extent, still have the sun in a square to Uranus, although the sun has entered the sign of Virgo, so this is an out of sign square. But people are largely going to feel very out of control, and a lot of people are going to be lashing out as we move through this week. But we do need to realize it's quite significant, the placement of the moon with the North Node in the sign of Aries and opposite the South Node with the Black Moon in the sign of Libra right now, massively triggering these relationship issues. These aren't necessary, fated, like aligned manifestations that are coming into play, even if they are just a mess or all over the place, or things that we would not have wished for, or we would not have necessarily asked for, or, things that we would rather not have to deal with. There is, for some reason, some fated element of things that has to happen. The ending of something toxic or abusive or disempowering or unfair or unbalanced is working to make its way into manifestation as well somehow. And there could just, again, be things that need to go in order for this to take place. People are also going to be very fired up, most likely, and probably standing up for themselves. Like I said, not hiding from a fight, like very much asserting their own interests and their passions, and like willing to go to war over it. With the Mars and Gemini component of things as well, this is a very like the ego is the Mars energy, and Gemini, this is our mind. So there's a strong ego attachment to our thoughts and to our ideas. Like, if people don't have thoughts and ideas and opinions on the same page right now, this is very likely, like, there's an enhanced likelihood of that leading to like disputes and arguments and conflicts. Like, it's not going to be real cool, and like verbal disputes specifically and stuff like that, like things to do with wars, like information battles, like facts and details that are at odds with each other as well. Venus is in the sign of Virgo. This is like information, and it's also like Virgo is this is also going to bring issues of like order and chaos. Okay, Gemini is a much more all over the place, like scattered in a million different directions, mercurial energy than Virgo is. Virgo is obviously quite refined and quite detail oriented and quite perfectionistic in its expression of the information or the communication or the like Mercury based, messenger based energy. Gemini, like I said, it goes in a million different directions. It's all over the place. It's super scattered. It's a jack of all trades. It does a lot of things, but not necessarily any of them are perfect. Where with Virgo, it's like everything needs to be perfect. Everything's got its place. Everything's got its, we're paying attention to the details. We know the order. We know the structure. We know the progression that needs to go on. Two very different expressions of the energy. So when disorder, things that are disordered and things that are ordered are going to be coming into conflict as well. Like chaos and order could be causing confrontations. Like somebody, like for example, like relationship dynamics, like if there's an individual that like needs things to be a certain way and the other individual is just a mess, like it's not going to go over well in this energy. This is when that blow up is going to happen. You know what I mean? So like that's the type, and you can apply that to like a million different things, but that is also one of the ways that this energy could be manifesting and functioning for us. Okay. But with Mercury in the sign of Leo ruling both of these planets in their square and in the exact trine to Chiron retrograde simultaneously in the sign of Aries, there could also really be issues coming up right now with old childhood wounds that have impacted our sense of self-perception, that are like coming to the surface and driving anger or conflict. People deeply triggered by past childhood wounds and unhealed trauma, like seeking resolution, acting out as a result of that. That could be really propelling things right now as well. Something also, of course, you know, Venus and Mars both in Mercury signs. While Mercury is trining Chiron, Mercury is also retrograde. Mercury is also in a mutual reception of the sun. Something about the nature of information or conversation or context or details or finding something out, like a fact or a piece of data or additional context or something. Also probably going to be like part of however, you know, stuff is playing out in this specific context as we move through this energy. As I said, old feuds that have limited or blocked or prevented healing or closure from happening in the past between like partners or friendships or even romantic relationships or siblings as well, with the particular sign placement going on, we could see that. But no matter what, there's going to be a hugely karmic, like there's a very karmic nature to everything that's going on right now, because as it's happening, the moon is exactly conjunct the north node opposite the south node, and we've got Saturn in square to Jupiter, which is a karmic release that we're working towards, and we've got the black moon in the south node, which is also a karmic release that is going on right now. So there could be some very dark, ugly sides of people showing through. As I said, you know, if there are inner demons, they're going to be coming out to play. People won't be hiding them. They won't be able to hold them back in this energy. Lots of things to be exposed, and they will be exposed in the, like, as a result of how people are acting and what they're saying. And like these incidents that go on are probably going to be what cause the conflict that leads to the necessary endings that are also indicated right now: relationships, financial commitments, stuff like that. So you know, all week, as I've said, you know, all week, we're in a week right now that opened with 2 exact squares with a full moon and with these big powerful planets, Jupiter and Saturn, the sun and the moon, square Uranus, exactly. Like, that's telling you, and you know, we know the nature of things generally right now. All summer, it's been like a summer of some contention that we've had going on, and we're in it. I mean, somebody asked me in the comments the other day when I thought that, you know, this level of contention would settle down a bit, and of course it will, but at least, you know, I haven't taken a look past the new moon in Virgo that we have coming up right now. But at least from now through the new moon in Virgo, which is in the beginning, the first couple days of September, I don't remember the exact date right now, things are just sort of like this. And then that new moon is also, I mean, it's featuring an exact Venus South Node Black Moon conjunction. So this will pass, you know, it's not going to be like this forever, but it's just sort of the nature of things right now. Interference. A lot of people are going to be, with that black moon so prominent, reacting and responding to things out of fear. Financial fear, fear of loss generally, fear of being cast out, reputational loss, and it's going to have people, again, like maybe acting in ways that they wouldn't have in the past, or showing sides of themselves that they wouldn't have in the past. There's going to be a lot of exposure going on, and we're going to be seeing people through a different light, which is going to, over the next couple of weeks, lead to major changes. I was talking about back in the month of August, when we had our new moon in Leo. I was talking about how the things that happen in the month of August were going to most likely lead to some major financial and relationship changes coming up here in the month of September. And we are really moving towards that. And this week and weekend are probably going to be pretty big catalysts in that regard. But fears of not being perceived a certain way with the Black Moon in Libra being activated, falls from grace, fears of some of the darker fears of the darker side or the darker nature or secrets being exposed, driving action, or as I said, being cast out, not being accepted, being deemed unworthy in some type of a way, leading to some type of frenzied or impulsive action that is just really disorienting things and people and leading to all types of significant, serious, and lasting relationship changes. These are lasting relationship changes that are coming. These are not like we're just gonna like go our separate ways for a little while and then like circle back around next Mercury retrograde. This is like, no, like this is the end. We are closing the book, or we're just totally like, we are just done with whatever we're coming to the end of in whatever area of our life as this plays out. Could also, though, there's a huge financial element of this, like that also needs to be said. We could definitely see like market collapses go on over this next couple weeks, especially moving into September, or also people pulling out of deals, commitments, investments that they had been, kind of getting involved with, having like second thoughts about stuff like that. People are going to be hyper reactive to things based on like a fear response as well, as I said. And this is therefore a very, very good time for careful financial planning, restraint, and not overreacting to things, not being super impulsive just because other people are like all going into a frenzy. We don't necessarily need to grab onto that energy and ride it. We can observe it, we can understand that it's happening, but we also need to understand that things are somehow evening themselves out, and to just continue to work towards our goals and our priorities and try not to worry too much regardless of what pops up. All right, as we do move through this energy. So even though it really might like not be a fun time that we're moving through this week, it is divinely aligned, and it is on some level perfect timing somehow. And we really are in a process of rediscovering our true selves and who we really are and what we really want and what we need to do in order to move further in that direction. We're gonna, gain a greater understanding of who we were before. As I said earlier, we were sort of redefined or broken in by the world and reality and whatever pressures, whatever were put on us to be a certain way. That's like our universal mandate right now. Like that's like the cosmic mandate right now as we're transitioning ages and moving into the age of Aquarius. And like the generations right now, like we are the ones that are rooting that transition energetically to this dimension, to the planet, because we are awakening. We're going through this awakening process where we are releasing essentially like the energy of surrendering personal power to a hierarchy. And we're, Aquarius, this is the age of knowledge, the age of information. As we move forth through the next 20 years, where Pluto transits Aquarius, leading into the next greater 2,000 years, leading into a next greater 10,000 year period, we are actually going to become more and more consciously aware and cosmically connected, and we're going to have a much greater ability to transcend the previous limitations of our conscious understanding of reality, and therefore what we could and could not do and create and be and become over the course of our lives. And obviously that's going to drastically change the way that humans participate in life on this planet. And those subtle shifts are beginning to happen now as we are awakening to these deeper authentic truths within us. Again, rediscovering who we originally were and what purpose you know, and higher nature is aligned with that. And everything right now in our lives is going to happen in such a way to gear us and orient us towards a path that supports the development and growth of that seed that we're discovering now. So, you know, I can tell you that's why this karmic ending energy is just so relevant and so permeating in terms of all of the aspects that are going on right now energetically, the karmic endings and the shadows that have kept us attached to the karmic cycles that are ending on that level. That is why a lot of stuff is going to be coming up. You know, there's going to probably be a lot of crazy stuff that happens. There's probably going to be a lot of difficult stuff that happens, but it is pushing us to a point where we are just not going to tolerate anymore the things that were preventing us essentially from getting to this point in the past. It's just, this is the time, this is when it's going to happen. It's the tower moments, you know, striking. Our full moon that we just had was in a square to Uranus. That is the tower energy. Our entire world now must shift to reflect our own authenticity back to us. Okay. And again, could be messy, could be difficult, could be painful, but you know, especially in terms of the Venus oriented stuff, relationships, values, images, associations, material possessions, financial enmeshments and connections, friends, reputations, the elements of these things that no longer reflect or that don't reflect the authentic truths that we are coming to discover and aligning with now need to fall apart. They need to fall away. And they're going to be replaced. It's not, you know, we have the North Node transiting through the sign of Aries. This is a fated hero's journey, okay? This is a fated independent quest to take back our power and rediscover and redefine ourselves as the hero in our own story, okay? That's what this 18-month transit, year and a half transit of the North Node through the sign of Aries has been doing for us. A lot of times, a hero's quest is going to be a solitary journey. We can't take people with us through, you know, some of the trials and tribulations that were built for us and us alone to face, because they have to be individual, because we all have unique karmic struggles and lessons that we need to learn and overcome. And you know, mine aren't going to be the same as yours aren't going to be the same as anybody else's, and so we've got to face a lot of these things alone, and that is going to require a lot of these relationship endings that are going on right now. And I've been talking about this throughout the course of this past, well, last July was when the North Node and the South Node entered the sign of Aries. So we are in this for a year now, and the rest of it, especially with this Black Node or Black Moon South Node conjunction coming up, this is the release point that has been building throughout the course of the next year. After that, from September moving forward, relationship dynamics are going to change tremendously, and we may find ourselves having to face some things alone. Have no fear though, you guys. The North Node will move into the sign of Pisces after it finishes the sign of Aries. This is going to be a time of reconnecting or reaching for higher spiritual connections, higher spiritual unions, those aligned with us on the higher levels that will support us in that higher growth or in that higher purpose or in that true destiny that we are spiritually aligned and attuned with and on this planet to do and fulfill. Okay, so there are higher level connections that are going to be coming in that are going to support harmony, peace, balance, and growth in our lives moving forward in alignment with the authentic truths and versions of ourselves that are trying to emerge now. And as I said earlier, let's go sort of back full circle now. There is this emphasis on, in that same regard, a maturation happening in the way that we are interacting with various aspects of our lives, specifically the Venetian oriented things: love, relationships, values, money, finances, our preferences, okay, our desires, what we're attracted to generally. And listen to this, just to really let us know that that's sort of where things are going. The position of Uranus right now, which I do believe is the degree where he stations retrograde, which is another thing that we have coming up in this next couple of weeks. 28 degrees of Taurus, of course, remember Venus's sign. 28 Taurus is the Sabian symbol, a woman pursued by mature romance. A woman pursued by mature romance. So that's the Uranian energy. That's what we're awakening to. Mature romance as a metaphor for that which is truly right for us and fulfilling to us, in alignment with us on the deepest, physical, emotional, and spiritual levels. So there is lessons coming through right now. I feel like there is no true victory or success or winning, which is what Mars likes to do. No forward movement, no conquering. Light just fell. So there's that. Without a level of sacrifice and surrender. We have had Mars in a square to Saturn. We have Jupiter in a square to Saturn. Mars is conquering, Jupiter is success. Saturn in the sign of Pisces, this is sacrifice, okay? Mars in a square to Venus, this is a conflict between the give and the take of things. A need, a motivation, a drive to sacrifice that which diminishes our own self-worth and ability to succeed, to move forward, to grow. Uranus in the sign of Taurus, this is also about radical, unexpected, revolutionary growth, okay? And removing that which has blocked that process from happening up until this point in time. This is like a radical evolution in terms, again, in evolution, maturation, those two things kind of go hand in hand as well. So all about the give and take, the changes happening in order to move things forward. So for now, with two mutable squares playing out in their exactness this week, one between Venus and Mars, Virgo, Gemini, one between Jupiter, Saturn, Gemini, Pisces. Mutable energy is about the transition. That's another energy that is about moving from one state of things to another. It's about the transition. It's about the flow. It's about adapting. The more that we can go with the flow of things right now, the more that we can surrender the burden with the faith that we are being primed for growth, even if it's not truly evident yet, the more we can just go with the flow of things, adapt to changing circumstances, not exercise control over things that are just, out of our control, and also continue to put one foot in front of the other and not lose sight of our overall vision and our overall goal. That I feel like is going to be the best way that we can kind of get through whatever's going on right now. Again, could just be a conflict oriented, more like crisis ridden period of time. A lot of things are going to go. They could go suddenly. A lot of things are going to present themselves as well. We should probably transition and talking about the tarot right now, because that's where my mind is going. The cards that came out from the tarot for our reading today, as I'm trying to summarize and wrap up the energy of this report. Interesting tarot reading in the context of the energy. This tarot reading that we have right here is telling us, pump the brakes. Don't feel like you need to make a judgment call or a decision if things are not clear to you, and try not to worry. Okay. Remember your power as well. Like, remember who you really are. Don't allow the uncertainty or the fear that is going on right now to cause you to take actions that are not in alignment with what you really want to grow, build, and create. Be very careful taking other people's offers right now. I wouldn't necessarily do it. It's so crazy because we're talking about an activation between the black moon and the south node and the moon there and the Venus Mars square that we've got going on, and the Uranus and Taurus energy, and the potential for being triggered, and the context of the feminine energy and fears, worries, insecurities, doubts. We had that show up in the tarot. We've literally got the Empress, which is the embodiment of the Venetian energy, and the Nine of Swords, which is the fears, worries, insecurities, doubts. It comes out in reverse. We need to not have fear. We need to not worry. And the other cards that we had come out, we need to not take action that is being motivated by fears or worries in the context of the Venetian energy. Love, money, relationships, okay? Look at these other cards. We have the Knight of Wands coming out in reverse, and we've got the Two of Pentacles in reverse as well. This is also really questioning things that we thought we were moving towards. This is also people spontaneously pumping the brakes about things in the context of relationship dynamics because of fears and worries that are surfacing that are making them, you know, second guess themselves and, you know, or maybe a second opinion, like seeing something that is like, again, as I said, people's dark sides are very likely to be presenting themselves in this energy. And then look at, we've got the Page of Cups in reverse and the Three of Cups in reverse. The Three of Cups is all about camaraderie and relationship dynamics. The Page of Cups is all about a love offer. Both in reverse. This is like, we're not, people are not going to be accepting offers. People are going to be like socially kind of like turned off to various situations. Stopping in their tracks, like I said, unable to decide, unable to make a choice, looking for additional options or additional alternatives, maybe feeling like neither choice is satisfying. And again, a lot of this is going to have to do with not want, and this is also with the Nine of Swords in reverse and the Empress. This is also like not wanting to put up with things anymore, not wanting to deal with the fear, or not wanting to deal with like whatever is worrying us or giving us anxiety, maybe as a result of a relationship dynamic or something, like feeling like unable to continue to be in situations or move towards situations or accept offers or deal in situations that in any way are like making us feel like we're walking on eggshells, or making us like upsetting our peace or upsetting our balance, or again, like the give and the take of things. Actually, even under that, we have the Six of Pentacles, which is all about the give and take and reciprocity and stuff like that. So where there are imbalances going on, where people are figuring things out, like there's just a lot of people are going to become very turned off to things, I think, is another way that we could say that as we move through the energy this week. And again, like the cards were kind of really reinforcing a lot of that. So that's what I have to say about that. We're going to get one more card now, you guys. God, Spirit, Universe. We need a synchronicity card. What's the best guidance or advice we can take to heart and use as we move through our week to kind of stabilize ourselves in the midst of what might just be a real like unstable energy field as we're moving through this week? And again, you guys, I'm going to do my best to have all 3 videos out next week, but I have had just a lot of things going on lately that have been happening like spontaneously and unpredictably as well, that have been like making it really difficult for me to like have focused blocks of time. So I'm going to, of course, try my absolute best to stay on schedule next week and get out my 3 videos. But there is a chance that it might end up being another 2 video week, and I won't know until whether or not I get to record my videos. So telling you in advance. And oh, interesting. Our card, I don't know that I have like ever gotten this card before. Maybe I've gotten it once, but you guys who have been following my channel for a while, you're going to know that this is not a message that we have had come up. The card says, do not waver. Interesting. For he that wavereth is like a wave of the sea, driven with the wind and tossed. James 1:6. When an opportunity is knocking at your door, grab it and go forward. Don't try to make up your mind about it. If it's there and it pertains to something for which you have been wishing, grab it, go forward, and have joy in your new life. So again, like that is what a lot of people are going to be doing. There is this drive and this desire to move forward towards something. And that's so funny. It literally says in your new life. A lot of people are going to be shutting the door on things. A lot of people are going to be like getting a clear glimpse of a situation and deciding that they are going to go in a new direction, and like that's just the way moving forward. And that's funny because even the cards were talking about like not really knowing, you know, looking for a third option, looking for a third choice, like neither one really being good, like not wanting to move forward towards something, like wanting to kind of like make an abrupt stop and maybe like go in another direction. And this card is literally saying if the right thing comes to you, grab it and go. Don't waste time trying to go back and forth about it. Don't allow yourself to be stuck between the past and the future. Seize the opportunity and move forward. And with the moon in Aries and the north node there, that is also super indicated right now. Again, though, talking about waves, like the waves that are created from people doing just this are what are going to be the likely conflict that we're dealing with as well as we move through. So real interesting synchronicity message that we got today in the context of the other energy that could be very, very relevant somehow. That's what I have to say today, you guys. Message from the stars, message from the cards. I hope you guys liked the video. If you did like it, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, share it with your friends if you think that they would be interested in this type of astrology content as well. Leave me comments, you guys. I'm so grateful for your presence here. I truly value what you guys have to say, your contributions to my channel, when you guys share your experiences with me that align with what I'm talking about in these videos. That is very, very valuable to me. And thank you guys again so much for being here. I love you all so much. And if you want to know what's on this whiteboard, I have a Facebook group linked in my description box below where I post images of these boards. So if you want to see the full thing, that's where you will find that. And come back with me later this week, you guys. Or maybe not. No, Aubrey. Don't come back with me later this week. Come back with me next week, you guys. We're going to have a fresh week of astrology to talk about. I will be here to talk about it. Hopefully it'll be on Monday. It may not be till Wednesday, but it'll probably be on Monday, and you don't want to miss it either way. So I will see you next time, guys. Have a really great weekend, rest of your week, and until then, bye.